Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mid Gaming. I'm Nick, over at the side of the comms, of course. Justin, providing audio, commentary, and, of course, his own brand of gameplay. How good it is, well, we don't judge. So,
No judging.
who looks over? You're judging. And,
You're judging me.
so, Destiny. Interesting. I did say I would cover it last week, and here I am covering it. Would have gotten this out a bit sooner, but the problem is that there have been a lot of weirdness going on. To recap everything, in case you haven't been in the know, before the Into the Light dev stream things, the three-part things came out, Amstercross came out with his own video saying that he got a weird email from someone, didn't give an address who, the email it is, but basically it was someone on Sony's side of the discussion giving their opinion, or should I say Sony's overall opinion, on the Bungie Destiny relationship as it currently stands. I won't go too much into that because we've linked Astrocross's video going over that if you want to look at it. It's very detailed and involved, but suffice to say, it basically states that as it currently stands, Sony, at least if this email's to be believed, because Tassie himself, Paul Tassie, did a video saying that there's a lot of things on this that really make you question if the legitimacy is there. I agree, so I won't go too deep into it. It's another reason I'm not covering it in too much depth. But basically, it just says Sony is aware that management is the problem here, as we've already kind of known, and that there's pretty much two factions within Sony at the moment trying to figure out what to do, because in the overall eyes of Sony, Bungie's acquisition has been a bit of a loss on their part. Well, maybe not a bit of a loss. And outside of Destiny, they don't really see much worth beyond Bungie as is. Don't get me wrong, they're not going to close Bungie, but one of the two factions is an internal member from the West who has a lot of respect from the Eastern management, so the Japanese, and the email states that he will probably get his way. Basically, what he wants to do is he wants to take control, restructure everything, and basically have a much more direct control over things because current management doesn't know what the heck they're doing. Eastern management, the Japanese side of things, want a much harsher resolution to the situation. They don't want to dissolve Bungie or Destiny, much like someone like EA would do, but they do want to dissolve their future projects. Basically, if the Japanese get their way, Marathon, Gummy Bears, all gone. Those are going to get thrown to the burner and the assets will be redistributed. Now, before you start thinking, oh god, here comes more layoffs, the email does state that Sony is aware, again, if this is to be believed, that more layoffs are only going to cannibalize things as they currently stand. But again, I won't go too deep into that. So that's all that mess. And that was just before the Into the Light came out, or the Into the Light dev stream 1 of 3 came out. And then it did. And oh, good lord, what a trash fire. Now, let me be very, maybe I was a bit too harsh. Let me reorient that statement a bit. The actual content we're getting doesn't look that bad. Everyone wanted a defense horde shooter thing. We are getting a defense horde shooter thing. What everyone is kind of upset about is the way we're getting it. So we are defending the city. We are getting a horde shooter. The problem lies in the fact that the maps we're actually going to be doing this on are basically souped up city crucible maps, and everyone hoped that there would be actual like new maps other than that. I myself didn't see the Twitch stream. I actually saw it from the YouTube video that Destiny posted in the aftermath. But from what I hear through the comment section of other videos, it was just a house on fire. People wanted the head of the devs so badly, because everyone was just screaming, reused content! And in fairness, that's a fair point. But I would iterate that this is a free expansion, and they did say it wasn't going to be on the par of, like, the 30th anniversary. So we'll see. Granted, the overall sentiment was that it was 30 minutes too long, so to speak. Like, it was a full hour. But you could only, like, you could do all the stuff they talked about in maybe 30 minutes. So it makes me wonder what the other two are going to be like, because we do have two more dev streams after this. The next one coming up this Tuesday is going to talk about apparently the new social space and the weapons we're getting. The weapons are going to be part of a set called, what was it? The Brave set, I think it's called. It's going to, whatever. But yeah, that's going to be a thing. So we'll see if there's enough to cover the next next two dev streams. It looks like there's also going to be some reprised Leviathan raid weapons in there, but to our knowledge, we're not getting the Leviathan back, so I mean, we do know that these reprised weapons are going to have new lore on them, has new lore tabs, so it's not going to be like if it is a Leviathan raid weapon, it's not going to have the original Leviathan raid weapon lore on it. It's going to have new lore, which, I mean, that's something at least. Everyone does say that the content does feel like Forge 2.0, so take from that what you will. Moving on, though, it's a bit of a mess. Because after the stream was wrapped up, more news broke, and this actually came from IGN of all people. Apparently, an article came out from IGN stating that information did actually break from inside Destiny, or Bungie, about the current shift in leadership revolving around Marathon. You know Marathon, that's the big MMO, or not MMO, multiplayer shooter thing that they're making. Yeah, there's big leadership changes there. The current game director basically left, and there's a new game director now. That's just business as usual in the games industry. So, yeah, kind of, unfortunately. But what everyone was irked about was what came alongside this change in leadership, a change in direction. Specifically, Marathon was going to be a character creator multiplayer, sort of similar to, well, what Destiny is. You create a character and work with that. Now, under new management, it's going to be a hero shooter. And everyone just said, well, here we go again. Not like we don't have enough of those on the market. And the popular theory is that this was done to make it effectively more profitable. Going back to that email I mentioned, it seems that, again, if it's true, Bungie has been failing to miss their target margins for profits at an increasing rate. So, if that's true, then this might explain the change in direction to make it more profitable. Plus, I do believe that's been confirmed elsewhere. Regardless, that turned off a lot of people. Not only that, but according to this article made by IGN, there is talk within Bungie that the executive team, the higher-ups, are basically just waiting for the next paycheck for the Sony deal, that, you know, the acquisition between Sony and Bungie to come in, and once that final check comes in, the executives are all just going to walk out en masse. Which basically isn't a surprise because, well, it's not a surprise if you consider what Bungie's leadership is like now, but it is certainly disheartening to know that if this is true, once the final check comes in, everything is just going, like, Bungie leadership is going to walk. Not surprising considering, again, Sony has been looking to deal with leadership for a while now. This could just be an indication that the executives themselves know that their days are numbered, and, well, they either leave or they get fired, one or the other, depending on which comes first. So this might just be them accepting the inevitable and trying to take as much money out of a sinking ship as they can. So, yeah, bad news all around. The good news out of all of this is that Horde mode looks good. Marathon is having a change in direction. Bungie's leadership is probably looking to profit off a sinking ship, and there's just a bunch of mess all over the place. There's not a direction you can point in where Bungie can catch a break at this point. And behind all of this, well, let's just say I'm pretty certain that the executives over at Sony are certainly going to be watching these 3 dev streams and monitoring the reception. So, that's the state of things as of this point. The next dev stream is going to talk about weapons and the new social space, I believe, that's coming into the light. And it might be the old tower. That's the popular theory at this point. And I swear, it better at the very least be a decent social space. And if we are getting a quote-unquote invasion of the city, I want to look over at the city and actually see invasion. I don't want to have this weird point where it's like, kind of like back in Season of the Defiance,
yes. The big event is going on, but There is nothing clearly going on.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, it's like Season of Defiance. You look up at like the harbor in the EDZ and you just see like pyramid structures all over the place. And then you actually go to EDZ in the Season of Defiance and even later on now, and the pyramid structure that just overshadowing the horizon just gone. They just teared that down. They're like, we don't need it anymore. Just get rid of it. I'll say one thing: the Witness apparently has instant construction abilities, but
Well, instant construction and destruction.
destruction. It's like, okay, let's do it. Just Thanos snaps it out of existence and just gone.
You don't need this, right?
Insert the freaking gravity. What's it? What's that a thing in? Not. Oh my God. What's the that the well, not game, the level editor thing that everyone just plays around in?
Forge.
Not Forge. Oh my goodness. It's an old one. It came alongside the well, I don't want to say came alongside. It was invented around the same time that a VR chat came out, I think. Ah well. Just insert gravity gun and just get rid of things. Just toss it back up into the air. But we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I want to actually see an invasion. I don't want to have like massive invasion. Then you look at the city, it's all picturesque and pristine. Then you go down the city, it's like freaking, you know, the Expendables down there. Where are all the ships? But anyways,
Yes.
so that's just me ranting. But other than that, that's just the state of things as they stand. News has been breaking all over the place, and it's all been bad. Bungie's position just looks worse and worse, and yeah. The bright side of all of this, like I said, I want to end this with a bit of an optimistic note. It doesn't seem like Bungie is going to get dissolved. Like, we're so used to this industry of gaming being in this position where if studios screw up, their upper management or their owners just dissolve them. Like Activision and EA are famous for doing that, like EA specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they would have dissolved BioWare, I think, years ago, if not for BioWare having some use to them still, and the name still having some weight to it, despite all that's happened. We're very much used to an industry where if they screw up, they're done. And as far as we can tell, Sony is not like that. Like, popular story and popular theory is that Sony is not looking to dissolve Bungie. Like, they're angry with Bungie, don't get me wrong, but they're angry with Bungie's leadership specifically. They know where the problem is, as far as we know, and that it's leadership. And that if they do not shape up, they're going to get shipped out. Or they're going to leave, like I said, whichever comes first.
Someone's going to have a bad time.
Yeah, someone is going to have a bad time. But as for Destiny and Bungie, those are not on the chopping block. It's just the heads of all of their leadership. So the actual game itself is not in jeopardy. As for what comes after that, we will see. Is Sony's possible takeover of Bungie a bad thing? Well, considering current leadership, I think anything's an improvement at this point. So we'll have to see. But that's the week. Hopefully next week's better. Any commentary on all of this, Justin?
All I'm going to say is no matter what's gonna happen, if PlayStation does go down the route of basically axing projects and making any work people have put into said projects irrelevant, I have a feeling that's going to put a bad taste in already bad-blooded Bungie members who are a little upset about putting in work and then said work not going through or anything revolving around, projects not panning out.
I mean,
So
I would.
I don't know. I have a feeling things aren't going to look all too amazingly for anyone who has been dealing with such events and scenarios.
I mean, yeah, I'd agree with you for the most part, except for the fact that we know in this industry projects get axed in the background all the time.
Yes.
So
yes.
I think that just kind of comes with the territory.
It does, but keep in mind, Marathon, I am fairly certain, is basically in the final stages now. Technically, it would have been releasing sometime recently by now, but they delayed it. I know they delayed Marathon just like they delayed the next expansion for Destiny, so That much I know for sure. So,
I don't know. I
who
think
knows?
the only reason I don't know. I think the only reason they axe Marathon is just because the fact that it just feels like it just feels like a cyst at this point. Like it
Mm.
even feels like to some degree when you read the room, it almost feels like Bungie themselves wants to get this out the door just to be done with it. Because when you look at it, like working on another project like Gummy Bears on the side that's one thing, right? It's a small project, it's a small thing, it's one and done. Yeah, it's a bit of a live service from what I can probably guess. It's gonna be like a mobile app thing, like probably like Fall Guys, but it's
Mm.
not a massive project requiring millions of people and stuff like that. Like it's a project that, let's be honest, realistically you could do with maybe like 100 people at most.
About, yeah.
But a project like Marathon requires thousands of people to do well. And that is a massive amount in the industry, just
I mean,
generally
I'll say this
Hmm.
because it is true in this sense. Helldivers is basically on the same level in a way, where it's pretty much set up so that you need online people, you need active players in order for the game to actually kind of have, you know, gameplay. Because it all revolves around what the players are doing and where they're going and stuff like that. It
True, but
very well can be done. And in the case of Marathon, it very well could have been done. But it comes down to how they want to do that. And again, it goes back to our original topic on today. It all stems with Bungie management, and Bungie management has not been very good managing.
oh yeah, no, absolutely.
So,
But I think the key problem, if I may,
hmm,
stems from mostly the fact that like a good parallel we can think about like is almost Warframe to that degree, or DE, I should say.
hmm,
They are trying to do a different game on the level of something like Warframe on the side of it, and they've kind of split their team not down the middle, but they've have new people that they're incorporating and stuff like that. But in the case of something like Marathon, Bungie's like DE is in a position where they can do that both financially and resource wise because Warframe is not in a tumultuous state right now. It's in a pretty good state, all things considered. So they can take a step back, and even then, it's not like they cut the people in half and those people are no longer working on that project. Like the guys who work on DE's Soulframe still occasionally like swap notes with the guys who work on Warframe. Like they've even said openly, like the lighting engines and stuff they're developing for Warframe are getting used in Soulframe and vice versa. So it's not like they're cutting their teams down the middle. The problem I think with Marathon and why everyone sees it as almost a dead project from the beginning is that Bungie cut their team down the middle, not only diverting resources away from Destiny's PvP section, which, mind you, has been struggling for a long time now just to begin with, but they also took resources away from Destiny in general to make Marathon, which do they even have the numbers to do that? Like, they have the numbers, sure, but do they have the finances? Do they have this? Do they have that? Like, remember, making games of this scale is very time and resource intensive. And if it's an MMO like the size of Destiny, that's even worse. Remember, Bungie is a company that is on record, according to research or documents seized, but that have come out in court, state that effectively, to put it quite simply, Bungie burns through their cash just as fast as they make it. And that's just with Destiny alone, as a corporation with Destiny. Do they have the financial clout to do that with Marathon? So when you put it all together, it just feels like it was a bad idea to even make Marathon from the beginning. Like, had
yeah.
this been at a time when when Destiny was in a better state, like say after Witch Queen, maybe. And if again, like you said, management did it in a much better way, yeah, they could have easily done that. But again, things like DE are in a better position. And in the case of Helldivers, Arrowhead only has one game for the most part. Like, I don't even know if Helldivers 1 is still going. Like, if it is,
It
Helldivers 1, to my knowledge,
probably
is
is. It probably
it's,
is. Even if it wasn't before Helldivers 2's release, I would say it is now because there's always people who go and look at a sequel and it's like, oh, the sequel's really popular. I'll go take a look at the previous game and try it
yeah.
out.
And
So
even then,
yeah,
1 wasn't intensive. So,
yeah,
you
yeah.
wanted to have to do
It wasn't too crazy and all that. So yeah,
So regardless of how you look at it, I think Marathon was just a project made at a bad time and in a very bad way. So it just basically doomed the project from its inception. Gummy bears, I don't know too much about, but eh.
I mean, Gummy Bears, I'm pretty sure is just their code name right now, right?
I don't know. It might be. It might be. That's very
It
possible.
probably is. Because
Either that or
unless Bungie has decided to go down like a completely different path of gaming and like go like Nintendo Splatoon esque all of a sudden, I
that'd
don't
be fun.
see them actually making a game about gummy bears and all that.
I'm just seeing like a gummy bear now, just wielding like a flaming like blade of dawn. just
Bro, I just thought of a funny little game already for gummy bears. Literally a gummy bear game where they're all trying to like melt one another. They're fighting each other by trying to melt one another.
that would be kind of dark though, don't you think? Kind of like some
Hey,
dark
hey,
undertones
when you
there.
think about it, they get melted and then they get reformed because you just take the little gooey liquid, put it into a mold, and there you go. You come back. There
Feels
you
like
go.
some
There's
like
your
murder
gameplay
bot.
loop. There's your PvP
Feels like
gameplay loop.
this feels like some murder bot shit or something like that,
Yeah.
man. Like, my God, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. At this point, it's just a mess. Like I said, it's not unheard of for developer studios like again Destiny or Bungie or DE to try to diversify the portfolio because again they've only got one thing that's pulling in cash at the moment, and if that thing ever goes under, they're fucked, to put it quite bluntly. So it makes sense that they would try to diversify, but you have to pick your time and you have to play your cards right. Otherwise, you wind up in the mess that Bungie's in right now. So,
What
but
can you do?
anyways,
Well,
but hey, like I said, defense looks good. But yeah, that's this week. And hopefully things improve in the next two dev streams. I will be watching them, hopefully. Maybe I'll get in the Twitch chat this time, and hopefully they'll be a bit more civil. I don't think so, but I hope so. I'm always trying to be
who
optimistic.
knows?
Indeed, indeed. Any closing thoughts, Justin?
No.
Alrighty then. We'll cut it off here then. Have a good week, have a good night, have a good morning, whatever the heck you're looking at this. And we'll see you all next week. Bye bye everybody.